the thing about mind reading, I think that's a big thing, though.
Oh, definitely.
Because even though I am, who I am, I think people expect me, and I don't have even not talking about like real partnerships, just in regular hooking up or doing whatever, people expect, and just having sex, people expect you to know.
No, totally.
What they need, what they want, what they like, you know what I'm saying? You say, oh, I'm a top, they expect you to know.
Yep.
Everything to please you. And it's some unrealistic shit.
Yeah.
Help me out now.
No, totally. I think it's mind reading is a problem always, like in every relationship, right? It doesn't have to be romantic or sexual. It's friends or family. It's like one of the most common myths is like, well, this person should know what I'm thinking, or this person should have known that this was going to upset me, and it's a relationship ruiner, right? But I think that the thing about the sort of like kink community is like it really does put this sort of like communication and definition and the importance of like to the forefront, right? Because it does involve sometimes things that can be really unsafe and can be, dangerous, right? So you have to really negotiate and figure out like, okay, what exactly are you talking about here? What do you mean by top, right?
And then, I mean, there are times too when you can communicate all you want and be very clear. I can't count how many times I've been very clear with people, like, I don't top anybody. I don't use my penis on other people. And they'll nod and they'll be like, good, and like, good. And then, like, I guarantee.
You walk in the bedroom, they're bent over.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like, you're not listening to me because I was clear with you.
Yeah, that's very invalidating.
I mean, speaking of tools, and those were good tools, but I've been doing a lot of online dating, and there's a lot of tools. And some of the mistakes that I've been making, and I'd love to hear other people's mistakes because these are normally juicy, but like I try to be relatively upfront with my partner that, I mean, for one thing, they know that they're going for coffee and pie with the trans woman.
Coffee and pie.
And that's right. And if they show up, there's a point there too. But they ask me, like, what are your hobbies? And I'm always like, I like to cook. I like to garden. I'm into kink. And like, anytime you let fly in the littlest way that you're sex positive or kink positive, like things can go south like really fast. Like all of a sudden he's like, oh, good, so I can call you my cum slut. And like
0 to 10.
Yeah, like 0 to 10, or like they just like, oh, so what are your like, your what do they call them? Like your hard
limits.
Yeah. Like what I just said I was kink positive, not that I wanted to talk about my hard limits.
Right.
Or like they'll go immediately into this, oh my God, I had this girlfriend and she like was kinky and she ruined my life. I can never trust again. Like, do you know what I mean? There's all this baggage that comes with being.
Yeah, I think it's a fine line, right? Because on the one hand, you want to find someone that's like sexually compatible with you. And on the other hand, you don't want to be like, okay, this is like all I am. And now we're only going to talk about this, right? So, yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's a fine line. I think sometimes what I tell my clients is like, you don't have like,
Get your clients. What do you tell your dates? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Well, my dates just want free therapy.
I was to say, you have double-edged sword.
I tell them that I'll send them an invoice.
Okay.
That's what I tell them. No, I mean, I think that like it's important to figure out if there's any kind of connection at all, right? Before like going into that stuff, because otherwise it's like, well, I just told this person all this shit about me and like, it's not going to go anywhere. So like, what was the point of even that, right? It's kind of a waste of time. Yeah, it's kind of a waste of time. Yeah. I mean, you can still figure out if people are compatible with you in that way. There are other things you can look for, like open-mindedness. If somebody's like has like very rigid views on something, anything, like they're probably not the most open-minded sexually, right? So like that can clue you in. Or if someone's like very sort of like risk averse or super anxious, right, or don't like to talk about sex in any way, like that will also sort of clue you in. So there are other things that you can look for that might be like, okay, maybe this person is open, but I'm not going to just like put all my cards out because I don't want to just be like, okay, great. So like, can I beat you now? Or like whatever.
Or you answer the phone beating yourself.
I have an angel on my shoulder, but a devil in my head.